they said that as soon as I stand in there, my talk begins. So I just want to say I'm humbled to be here in front of such a cavernous place. I've never been to a cinema so big. So if I just step in there and step out, that means I have to stop the clock all the time. So it could be the longest 18 minutes of your life. So hopefully not. So my own comfort zone was challenged 3 years ago. I was running a successful, large PR company, employing lots of people, but it didn't feel right. Something didn't feel comfortable. And then one day, I got a phone call from a bank manager in Wales, in Carmarthen in Wales. And he said, would I come down to meet him immediately? Because in his vault, he had what he thought was the Holy Grail. I thought, the Holy Grail in a bank vault in Wales? And he wanted me to come down. He wanted me to market the story to see whether it would go worldwide. And I said, wow, yeah, I'm coming. And as I was leaving the office, one of my people grabbed me by the shoulder. They stopped me and said, well, where are you going? And I said, I've had this phone call from a bank manager in Wales who's got the Holy Grail. Of course I've got to go and meet him. I said, hang on, Mark. We're pitching for the Unilever toilet cleaner account. You can't go. And I thought, my God, yes, if we win it, we'd get some money, we'd get a gig, but surely that wasn't enough. And I guess that's where it starts for me, because it was a story. It was a story that I felt comfortable at chasing. And where did my love of stories come? It came here, on my father's knee. He taught me. And any night, I don't think I can remember as a small child ever going to bed without my father telling me a story, and I was captivated. Stories about knights and legends, about mountains, about all the things that captivated me. And that's when I quickly had the passion for the story, and that's what my business became, the narrative. And the adolescent days of school morphed away from this into a time where another stage of storytelling began for me. Another person to shape me who I am today, a man called Terry Neurick. He was my teacher. And he was a person who ripped up the syllabuses. He didn't buy into exams and qualifications. He was about opening your mind. And I remember two teachers in a corridor talking about him, saying, that guy Neurick is a maverick. And it was the first time I heard it at the age of 14, where I began to understand what a maverick was. Someone who thought differently, who challenged ideas, who was outside the comfort zone. He taught me to be daring and difficult and different. But those halcyon days changed, and you quickly go into where we are now, and what I think are some of the things that worry me. We're in the age of junk knowledge, instant gratification by those sound bites that come from information that is the same as junk food. You know, morsels are not very satisfying, but they're immediate. We don't even know the provenance of them, just as we don't know the provenance of junk food. And this is the other thing I'm worried about. This is the other thing that challenges me. I'm getting a touch of Googlephobia, because they're part of the plot. They're part of the plot that involves us all. You know, I'm not a data refustic. I mean, Google have done some amazing things. But like all good things, times change. And I think Google are becoming a darker force by accruing all the information they have on us and making lots of money about it. So, as my son said to me, Dad, they want stuff on me. We are in the age of big data. I've just returned from a conference in London called Advertising Week, and everybody was obsessing about what the advertisers could do with big data. the stuff you give them. Because, as my son said, Dad, all this free stuff, what's it doing? And the free stuff is the cheese and the trap. And the trap is data entrapment. They need more and more from you, and why not? Google, 95% of its revenue from advertising comes from how it targets big data. We all think it's pretty benign, because there's so many good things about Google, isn't there? So many powerful things about Google. But how it's shaping what we know is something that concerns me. And let me tell you about another maverick who isn't on Google. Someone who also intersected my life on a random encounter. A man called Ron Fletcher. If you Google him, you won't find him. But he simply was a captivating human. Ron Fletcher wanted to see the world. So, like all boys in the 1950s, he joined the Navy. But he got trapped by the rules. And he was the last man to be flogged in England in the 1950s with a cat of nine tails in public for stealing a cake. He was hungry, and like all boys do, they stole a cake. So he went back to sea, and then one day, off the coast of Australia, he saw the land. And what did he do? He jumped off, and he swam ashore. And when he got there, he found himself a job. And his job was to run the mail service with 6 mules across northern Australia. And every day he told me about every adventure he had, these random encounters with people. And it shaped him. A real maverick. A maverick that I call an adventure capitalist. Someone who puts capital and investment into what you do, never putting off tomorrow what you can do today. Now, Ron shaped his life and became an expert on Roman mosaic. How did that happen? Did he have Google? No. He was driven to passionately investigate on his own terms. Because Google, and listen, we're all sold semantic search. It's good, eh? Semantic search gives us the ability to get the information that we need. They're telling you, they're saving your time, aren't they? But they're collecting more data on us. We're caught in the much talked about filter bubble. And if Google was a nation, a country, a government, or a police force, would we feel the same? To me, they're the Stasi. Because now we're no blind. We know too much. Everything is coming in at once. Our brains can't really condition it. And of course, there's more and more stuff. We're told about the stuff. Again, that change means one thing. We now have the replacement to the smartphone. I was told there are more smartphones on the planet than electric toothbrushes. I don't know what that says about oral hygiene, but certainly now Google want to replace a smartphone, we heard it earlier on today, with Google Specs. How great it will be to be walking around cool specs getting messages. So where does random encounter go? Where do those journeys off-piste go? Yeah, we'll be sold where we can get the latest cheap sub-deal or where the cool bar is without discovering it. Because more data, more big data. I prefer the random journeys of encounters, meeting amazing people, being surprised. I mean, can you imagine the great artists of the day surveying a field of daffodils? Well, what would they do? Would they take a picture, Instagram it, tweet about it, put it on Facebook as a like? We are now beginning to like, and we're forgetting to love things because it's instantaneous. Now, again, I am not some sort of rabid person who wants to see the changes that have happened go backwards. I want you to take control and be aware of taking control. Because we have in the palm of our hands smartphones, the gateway to all information. Google has provided it with us as they digitized the world's greatest libraries. But I call it the lolcats conundrum. Because with all that information, what do we tend to do but ping out crazy pictures of weird and funny cats? But there are other people who had enough. They're moving on. They don't want to be captured by this. They're finding different ways to organize themselves in groups that actually want to challenge in a way that we operate. And it's similar for me. When I used to work in the early parts of my career with some of the greatest circuses of the world, and I was amazed by these people who lived outside of traditional practices, who wanted to work together to create incredible shows. Jugglers, sword swallowers, enterologists, daring devils who did not want to be confined with bricks and mortar, wanted to go from place to place, doing crazy publicity stunts like taking an elephant to walk in the middle of High Street in London. You couldn't do that now because big data would capture that picture for CCTV and you'd find to be arrested and put away. So that randomness of adventure is gone for many people. And there's another man you won't find on Google, a man called Dr. Michael Crawford, who I met in 1998. And Michael Crawford was a food technologist, a maverick thinker who worked in Africa looking at wild food. And what he discovered was that the great food giants of the 1950s, big American food corporations, were starting to produce a type of fuel that we were consuming that had no nutritional value. And what he wrote was a book called The Future Moron, because he predicted by 2010, our brains would start to shrink. So as our capacity to think is challenged, and we are taking over by science fact now, not science fiction, in this brave Orwellian world we live in, was this man who was run out of town by every big legal practice who stopped the publication of this book. We have to question the intent. Now, I'm not a wild conspiracy theorist, but I tell you something about what I see. The power of celebrity. You know, that's the images that you see, the great thinkers, the great ideas people are overturned by what Kim Kardashian will do, or Lindsay Lohan falling out of a nightclub. We consume their reality show lives and think it's really cool and so easy. I blame the food. I blame the diet. I blame the shrinking brain. Because it's now a generation who are weaned on big data that perhaps are losing out on something, on this instantaneous need to be on, switched on all the time. And there's other thing that I think the human existence spins around many, but three key temporal zones: the reflective, the now, and also the hypothetical. And those three zones are important for us all, aren't they? We reflect on the past, we deal with the now, and we hypothesized about the future. Isn't that the real thing that motivates us? Well, that's challenged now by the speed, by the challenge of data, because the past is forgotten about. This city and its past isn't relevant because it's the now. The now. And what about the future? Who knows? Because we've got to make money now. And that's what you're breeding. That's what we see. Let's challenge that, because it's happening, guys, out there. There are people living off the grid. They want to feed themselves with the food that they grow. They want to light and heat themselves without big energy companies. And they certainly want information that they can trust, that they have empowered. So Facebook, Google, all the information that they are amortizing to make money, are they sharing it with you? Me? No, they're taking it, but they're giving us more cheese, guys. So I want to make a plea to get out of the comfort zone of being dedicated to Google, to tech. I want to have wild goose chases. I want to daydream. I want to think about the past, the present, and the future. I'm a humanist. I'm not a technology geek. And a British author called David Ullman, who wrote a book called Skellig, recently said publicly that every kid in England should have the ability to daydream. Everybody was on his back. What a waste of time. What's the time efficiency in that? If kids can't dream, if kids can't play, and if kids have to live to some of the icons that we hold up, then the world isn't going to get better with tech or Google Glass or whatever the next big invention is. And I learned that. I learned that on that day when I had that phone call to go to Wales to find the Holy Grail. But hey, that's another story. Thanks for listening to me.